Welcome back, listeners. Today we're diving deep into a couple of powerful sermons by Pastor Jerry Eze, one from September and the other from October, both from 2024.
They're full of these inspiring messages and themes, so...
Yeah, they are. And I thought maybe we could start with one that really grabbed my attention. It was all about this idea of speaking the word.
Oh, yeah. The power of our words.
Yeah.
That's a big one for Pastor Eze.
Yeah. I mean, he's saying that our words actually have the power, like, literally to shape reality.
And he gives a really powerful example in the October sermon. He tells a story of the woman who found herself in a really dangerous situation, like she was really afraid, feeling threatened.
Oh, wow. What happened?
So just as, she's about to be harmed, she hears this voice telling her to speak the word.
No way. What does she do?
And she does. And this is the incredible part. She starts speaking words of faith, declaring her safety, her protection. And Pastor E says, right then, everything shifts. The people who were threatening her, they suddenly can't do what they were planning.
Wow. So, like, just by speaking these words, she changed the whole situation.
Yeah.
That's wild. It makes you think, like, what if we all had that power? What could we do?
It's a huge question, and it's definitely something Pastor Eze wants us to think about. He's saying there's this, deep connection between what we say and what actually happens, and that when our words match our faith and what we want to see, we can tap into this force for good,
Okay, so it's more than just, like, thinking positive thoughts.
Right. It's about, consciously choosing to use language that lifts us up and helps us create the reality we want.
Okay, I get it. So it's about speaking truth, speaking faith, and, like, speaking life into our situations, like recognizing that our words have this power to actually make things happen.
Exactly. And this idea of being intentional with our words, it ties in with another big theme in Pastor Eze's sermons, finding your divine assignment.
You mean, like, we all have this purpose, this unique thing we're supposed to do?
Yes. And to illustrate this, he often uses stories from the Bible. In the October sermon, he tells the story of this little maid in the Old Testament. She was captured and taken away from her home, but she ends up helping this powerful Syrian commander, Naaman. He had leprosy.
Right. I remember that story. This young girl, forced into servitude. Would have been so easy to just give up, to fall into despair.
Exactly. But she doesn't. She sees a chance to help, to make a difference. She realizes Naaman is suffering, and she speaks up, boldly suggests he should seek help from a prophet in her homeland, in Israel.
Wow. To have the courage to speak up like that, especially in her situation. What happened next?
Well, her words planted a seed, right? And it led to Naaman actually going to the prophet Elisha, and Elisha ends up healing him.
So this young girl, just by speaking up, played a crucial role in his healing. Her words held the solution he needed. It's a reminder that even when things are tough, we can still make a huge impact.
It really is. And her actions didn't just help Naaman, they also liberated her. By stepping into her purpose, her divine assignment, she was able to rise above her own circumstances and experience a different kind of freedom.
I see. It's like our divine assignments aren't just about helping others. They're also about our own growth, our own liberation.
Exactly. And this theme of breaking free, of liberation, it connects with another amazing concept that Pastor Eze explores, the concept of Jubilee.
Oh, Jubilee. Now that's a word that brings up a feeling of celebration, of new beginnings. Isn't it like a biblical concept about a specific period of time?
You're right. In the Old Testament, Jubilee was this time every 50 years. In ancient Israel, debts were forgiven, slaves set free, land returned to its original owners, a total societal reset.
Wow. Like a radical restoration, a time for setting things right, both personally and collectively.
Yes. And in his September sermon, Pastor Eze goes into the deeper spiritual meaning of Jubilee. He's saying it's not just an ancient tradition, it's a timeless principle. We can access it today through faith in Jesus Christ.
So it's like, instead of waiting for this 50-year cycle, Jubilee becomes an ongoing possibility, something we can tap into at any time, like a spiritual reset button.
That's a great way to put it. He even encourages his listeners to see September as their personal month of Jubilee, a time to claim their freedom and restoration. And he asks us to really think, what areas of our lives are ready for a Jubilee experience? What debts do we need to release? What burdens need letting go? Where do we need a fresh start?
Those are powerful questions. It seems like Pastor Z is giving us this roadmap for transformation, a way to break free from the things that hold us back.
He is, and he goes even further, emphasizing that a big part of experiencing Jubilee is shifting our mindset. In his September sermon, he uses a really powerful story to illustrate this. The story of the man healed by Jesus at the pool of Bethesda. Imagine being sick for 38 years, just hoping for a miracle.
38 years. Such a long time to suffer. What was it about this story that struck Pastor Izzy?
He focuses on the man's mindset. When Jesus came up to him, he didn't immediately jump up and say, "I'm healed." He seemed resigned to his fate, focused on all the limitations.
So even though healing was right there, he couldn't grasp it because his mind was still stuck in his suffering, like his beliefs were holding him back.
Exactly. And this is the big point Pastor Eze makes. He says, once your mind leaves a negative situation, your body will catch up. It's about shifting our internal reality before we can see the external change.
Wow. So we need to let go of those limiting beliefs, those things that tie us to our past.
Yeah.
If we want a true jubilee, a real breakthrough, it has to start in our minds.
You got it. And this brings us to a crucial part of Jubilee that Pastor Eze really emphasizes: letting go of those limiting beliefs. What thoughts, what assumptions are stopping you from experiencing your full potential, from stepping into your divine assignment?
That's deep. And it seems to fit perfectly with another theme that runs through both sermons, serving without seeking glory.
Absolutely. That comes up strong in his October sermon. He talks about how important it is to serve God's kingdom without needing recognition or praise.
He's saying true service comes from a place of pure intention, a desire to contribute without needing a pat on the back.
Yes, it's about finding fulfillment in serving, in aligning with our purpose, not in getting applause.
That's challenging, but it's also incredibly freeing. It means shifting our perspective, being willing to let go of our ego and embrace a more selfless way of serving.
It does. And that perspective seems to be at the heart of Pastor Eze's message. He's inviting us to step into a way of being where our actions are aligned with our purpose, where our words are filled with faith, and where our hearts are open to this transformative power of Jubilee.
This has been so insightful. As we delve deeper, I'm excited to uncover even more. What other gems await us?
You know, it's fascinating how these themes all connect. Like we've talked about Jubilee, divine assignments, and serving without seeking glory. Pastor Eze weaves them together beautifully, and it's through those connections that we can really see how to apply these ideas.
You're right. And one of the connections that I found really powerful was how Pastor Eze links the idea of Jubilee to our words. He's saying that our language can either keep us stuck or unlock new possibilities.
That's a great observation. In the September sermon, he talks about the forgiveness of debts during the year of Jubilee. And it wasn't just about wiping the slate clean financially. It was about releasing people from the burden of owing, from that weight of the past. And he suggests that our words can actually act as those pronouncements of release.
Wow. So by speaking words of forgiveness, freedom, and abundance, are we essentially declaring our own personal jubilee?
Exactly. It's like we're taking that spiritual principle of release and applying it directly to our own lives. And what's amazing is how he ties this back to that story of the little maid.
You mean the young girl who helped Naaman find healing from leprosy?
That's the one. Remember, even though she was a servant, she spoke up so boldly. And her words, they held the solution that Naaman desperately needed.
And by speaking those words, she didn't just change his life, but she changed her own too. She stepped out of being a captive and into her divine assignment. It's like sometimes the most powerful jubilee we can experience is when we speak our truth, share our gifts, offer the solutions that only we can give.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And talking about divine assignment, there's this other fascinating piece that Pastor Eze explores in his October sermon. He says that God's plan for every believer is a journey from glory to glory, meaning that we're meant to constantly evolve, expand, and step into new levels of purpose and impact.
So it's not about arriving at some fixed point. It's about embracing this ongoing process of growth and transformation,
Yeah.
always moving toward a greater expression of our purpose.
Exactly. He even uses the example of the early Christian church. After the Pentecost experience, when the disciples were filled with the Holy Spirit, their big question was, what's next? It's a question we can all relate to.
I know I can. We
Wow.
have these breakthroughs, these moments of spiritual connection, and then it's like, okay, how do I keep this going? What's the next step?
And what Pastor Eze suggests is really interesting. He says that God doesn't just give us an answer, he makes us the answer.
Wow. So instead of looking for external guidance, we're actually meant to become the source of guidance, the embodiment of the solution.
You got it. Nice saying that as we go deeper in our faith, as we connect more deeply with the divine, we become more aligned with our purpose, our gifts, and the solutions the world is waiting for.
It's like we become these walking, talking answers to the questions humanity is wrestling with, each of us with our own unique piece of the puzzle.
That's a great way to think about it. And this links back to rejecting those limiting beliefs. If we're meant to be the answer, then we have to let go of the thoughts, the assumptions that tell us we're not enough, that we
Yeah.
can't make a difference.
We have to break out of those mental prisons we've built for ourselves and step into that limitless potential that God sees in us.
Exactly. And that means being really aware of the messages we're taking in, both from within and from the outside. What stories are we telling ourselves? Whose voices are we choosing to listen to? Are they lifting us up or holding us back?
And how are those stories and voices affecting our ability to see and embrace our divine assignments?
It's such an important question. And thinking about that, Pastor Eze's message about serving without seeking glory becomes even more meaningful. If we're serious about stepping into our purpose, we have to let go of that need for validation from others.
We have to be willing to do the work, to share our gifts, simply because it's what we're meant to do, not because we're chasing applause or recognition. It's about the pure joy of service.
Absolutely. And that freedom, that detachment from needing approval is a form of jubilee in itself. It's like we're freeing ourselves from the limitations of ego and aligning ourselves more with the flow of divine will.
It's beautiful. And it reminds me of that story in Pastor Eze's September sermon, the one about the man who was healed at the pool of Bethesda. After 38 years, remember how Jesus asked him, "Do you want to get well?"
I do. And his response is so interesting. He doesn't just say yes, he starts listing all these excuses, focusing on his limitations and all the obstacles in his way.
It's like he was so used to suffering that he couldn't even imagine being healed, even when the opportunity was right there.
And Pastor Eze uses this to show how important internal transformation is. He says that the man had been at that pool for 38 years, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally, trapped in his limitations.
He allowed his circumstances to become his identity,
Uh,
to shape his beliefs and expectations.
exactly. And Pastor Eze suggests that until we shift that internal landscape, until we let go of those limiting beliefs, we'll keep getting stuck in the same patterns, even when opportunities for change are right in front of us.
So it's not enough to just want healing, abundance, or breakthrough. We have to actually believe that we're worthy of receiving it. Align our inner world with the outer world we're trying to create.
Yes, that's a powerful insight. And this connects to another key theme that runs through both of these sermons, the power of intentionality.
Right, the idea that our thoughts, our words, and our actions all have this creative force. They shape our world.
Absolutely. And that force can work for us or against us, depending on where we focus our energy. So if we're truly committed to experiencing Jubilee, to stepping into our divine assignments, we have to become intentional creators.
We have to choose our thoughts, our words, and our actions carefully, knowing that they're shaping the world around us, influencing the experiences we attract. It's about taking responsibility for that creative power we have.
And that's where speaking the word becomes so crucial. It's not about just repeating positive affirmations. It's about aligning our language with what we want, with our beliefs and our desired outcomes. Speaking our truth, speaking our faith, speaking life into those areas where we want restoration, abundance, or breakthrough. We become partners in creation with the divine.
So we're actually speaking ourselves into our Jubilee experience. Our words become a tool for making things happen, aligning our energy with the flow of abundance, healing, and breakthrough.
I love that. And as we do this, as we align our words with our intentions and our actions, we start to tap into that other core message, recognizing our divine assignments. Remember, Pastor Eze tells us that each of us has solutions that others are looking for. We all have a unique piece of the puzzle to contribute.
It makes me think, what solutions am I carrying? How can I connect those solutions to my purpose? How can I really step into that divine assignment?
Those are powerful questions to ask. And to help us answer them, let's go back to the story of the little maid who helped Naaman. She didn't do anything extraordinary, right? She simply shared what she knew, offered the solution that was already within her.
Right. It wasn't about having some big revelation or performing miracles. It was just about being present, knowing her gifts, and sharing them freely.
And look at the ripple effect her simple act created. It transformed Naaman's life, and it probably changed hers in ways we can't even imagine.
It reminds us that even the smallest acts of service, the most genuine offerings of our gifts, can make a huge impact. It's not about seeking recognition. It's about being a channel for healing, transformation, and breakthrough.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, let's remember that this journey of Jubilee, of stepping into our divine assignments, it's an ongoing process. It's not about arriving somewhere. It's about this lifelong adventure of growth, transformation, and expansion.
We'll have our high points and our challenges, times when we feel like we're soaring and times when we feel like we're stumbling. But through it all, we have the power to choose. We can always choose to realign ourselves with that energy of Jubilee, to let go of those limitations and embrace who we truly are.
Beautifully said. And we don't have to do it alone. We have the support of something bigger than ourselves, the guidance of our intuition, and the wisdom of everyone who's walked this path before us.
Thank you for being here with us as we delve into the powerful messages of Pastor Jerry Eze. I hope his words inspire you to claim your own jubilee. Step boldly into your divine assignment and use the power of your words to speak life, hope, and healing into the world.
It's been a joy exploring these ideas with you. Until next time, may you continue discovering the solutions you carry within and experience the joy of living in alignment with your truth.
Okay, so we've been talking about these big ideas, jubilee, divine assignments, but how do we actually experience them? How do we live these concepts, not just think about them?
That's a great question. And I think Pastor Eze gives us some real clues. Remember that story from his September sermon, the man healed at the pool of Bethesda?
Yeah, the one who'd been waiting for a miracle for forever.
Exactly. And remember what Jesus said to him, those simple but powerful words, rise, take up your bed, and walk.
It seems so straightforward, almost too simple.
Right. But Pastor Eze says those three actions, rise, take up, walk, are a formula for experiencing Jubilee. In any area of our lives, it's like a blueprint for transformation.
Okay, I like that. Break it down for me. What does he mean by rise?
He's talking about shifting our consciousness, rising above those limiting beliefs, and whatever circumstances are holding us back. It's about getting rid of those old labels we've put on ourselves and embracing who we really are, embracing our potential.
So it's that first spark of faith,
Yeah.
that decision to believe in something beyond what we're currently experiencing, to see ourselves in a new light.
Yes. It's that moment we say, I'm done with this old story. I'm rising above it. I'm seeing myself differently. And then we take up our bed.
What's that about? The bed. Why is that important?
It's symbolic. Pastor Eze says taking up our bed means taking responsibility for our experiences, the good and the bad. It's about moving from feeling like a victim to feeling empowered.
Oh, I see. So instead of feeling powerless, we recognize that we actually have a role in creating our own reality, both the struggles and the victories.
Yes. We own our power to create and to heal. And then we walk. We take that empowered self and we put our faith into action. We take those steps even if we don't know exactly where they'll lead.
It's about trusting the journey, trusting that voice inside us, moving forward with courage, even when we can't see the whole path.
And as we walk, as we embrace this transformation, remember to speak the word. As we're rising, taking up, and walking, let's use words that match our intentions. Words that affirm our worthiness. Words that create the reality we want to step into.
So it's like we're speaking our jubilee into existence. Our words become this force for making things happen, for aligning our energy with that flow of abundance and healing.
Exactly. And as we do this, as we align our words with what we're doing, we start tapping into that idea of our divine assignments. Remember what Pastor Eze said. Each of us has solutions that others are looking for. We each have a piece of the puzzle to offer.
It makes me wonder, what solutions am I holding? How do I connect them to my purpose? How can I really step into that?
Those are great questions. And to help us answer them, think about the little maid in Naaman. She didn't have to do anything amazing. She just shared what she knew, offered the solution she already had.
It wasn't about having this huge revelation or performing some miracle. It was about being present, knowing her gifts, and being willing to share them.
Right, and think about how her simple act changed everything. Naaman's life was transformed, and hers probably was too. We can only imagine.
It shows us that even the smallest acts of service, the most genuine offering of our gifts, can make a huge difference. It's not about getting recognized. It's about being a channel for healing, transformation, and breakthrough.
And as we wrap up, remember this journey of Jubilee, of stepping into our purpose. It's not a one-time thing. It's a lifelong adventure of growth and change.
We'll have ups and downs, moments of feeling amazing and moments of feeling lost. But we always have the power to choose to align ourselves with that energy of Jubilee, to let go and embrace who we really are.
I love that. And remember, we're not alone in this. We have support. We have our own intuition to guide us. And we have the wisdom of everyone who's walked this path before.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Pastor Eze's messages. I hope you're inspired to find your own Jubilee, to step into your purpose, and to use your words to speak life and hope into the world.
It's been a real joy exploring these ideas with you. Until next time, may you keep discovering the amazing solutions you carry within and experience the joy of living in alignment with your truth.